Hey everybody, this is Artist Spotlight. Today we have Fetle Negash. She is a television production manager. How you doing, fella?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for coming to Artist Spotlight.
Thanks for having
Let's
me.
start with where you're from and what got you interested in pursuing a career in film and television.
I'm actually one of the few people in Hollywood that are from Los Angeles.
Okay.
I grew up here, so always seeing the Hollywood sign made me always want to work in entertainment. I never knew exactly in what avenue. Everyone always assumes that you want to be talent, which is far from what I want. So
hmm
it took a while to figure out exactly what I wanted to do,
hmm
but I always knew Hollywood was for me.
Got it. Okay. Now, did you have any kind of mentorships or guidance? Did you know someone in the industry? Like, what kind of, or did you just kind of just go, "Hey, I know what I'm doing," and you just trailed your path and did it on your own?
So when I was in high school, I went to take your daughter to work day with someone from church, and she worked at William Morris at the time. So I was like, this is really awesome. They had a program for us. They talked about what being a talent agent was and what it meant. And I was like, great, let me make 10% off of somebody else's talent. Sign me up. So her major was communication studies. So I went to college and majored in communication studies because I thought I had the world figured out.
hmm
I ended up graduating a semester early, so I thought that that meant like I was ahead of the game and I was gonna go get a job in the talent agent trainee program. Clearly, that did not happen because I did not have any kind of experience. No one ever told me to intern or volunteer or anything during school. Like I just went to school, got out, and was ready for the world,
hmm
but the world was not ready for me yet. So I had to do things backwards. I started interning and volunteering after I got out of college
Mm,
while trying to work a job.
mm.
So it's really tough. One day I ran into somebody that I went to school with. He was like, "What are you doing here?" I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm a publicist. Like, how did you get invited?" And I was like, "I grew up in LA. That's how I got invited." And he's like, "Well, what are you trying to do?" And I was like, "I'm not sure. I just want to be in entertainment." And he was like, "Well, I need an assistant. If you're interested,
Oh,
come work for me." So I assisted him on and off for a couple years, mostly for free, but it was a lot of experience that I gained. Then he partnered with a PR company. So he took me there. So I started working for them. And that was my first like paying entertainment industry job. Not
woo.
paying well at all,
Right,
but it was paying.
right.
And then it just kind of took off from there. I'm
Okay,
in a completely different industry now, but
right.
PR is what opened the door for me.
Okay, great. So now let's fast track to what you're doing these days, and for the past few years. So you're physical production. Explain what that is. So you've done a lot of that over several networks over the last, I guess, decade. So explain that process as it relates to film, television, what have you, please.
So physical production is literally the logistics of production for film and television. So we work with the producers to make sure that they stay in budget,
hmm
make sure that they help them hire the crew, depending on what kind of show it is.
hmm
For us, we primarily hire third-party production companies who run the day-to-day,
hmm
but they report back to us to make sure that the budget is on point
Right.
and that everything is going smoothly.
Okay. Got it. Got it. So
We're not the creative people by any means. We're not the people that work on the scripts. We're literally just making sure the dollars are spent the way they're supposed to be spent.
right, right, right. So I'm assuming like the people that you're talking to mostly are the heads or the director or the person these vendors and these production crews. You're interfacing with them pretty much on a daily basis, and they're talking to the actors and the talent and things of that nature. Is that correct?
Yeah, but
hmm
we at our network, we have two different sides. We have a creative department and we have the production department. So the
hmm
creative department, they talk to the directors and the writers and the crew, the cast of and those types of people.
Right.
We literally just talk to the executive producers, pretty much the line producers, the people
Got it.
that are responsible for the high level things.
hmm
Those are our day to day contacts.
Got it. Got it. Now, did you already know, and was that already a goal, kind of to say, okay, I want to be separate. I want to go where, I want to talk about the money, the bond stuff. Did that always in your mind to say, the creative stuff is cool, but I want to go where the big decisions are being made? Was that something that was by design for you?
Not necessarily because I did not know that that was a thing.
Hmm.
Everyone always talks about the talent, everyone talks about the producers.
That's right.
You see the awards, you see the directors, the writers, and that kind of thing. So I had no idea that this lane existed.
Hmm.
I've always been the logical friend, as my friends like to call me. I'm the one when we're paying for the dinners, I'm like asking the bill, making sure everything is good, making sure that we have the tip in there. That's always been me. So actually at the PR firms, a guy that was a line producer that was in between shows came in to help kind of help run the day-to-day business side of the firm. And that's where I learned that this actually existed. Then by chance, a friend of mine got a job at the company that I'm at now in the production department. And I was like, wow, like, what are the chances? She wanted to get another opportunity there and asked me if I'd be interested in taking over her position. And I was like, for sure, sign me up. So I went in and interviewed with the physical production team. And that's kind of how it landed in that way. So most people, again, always assume that I wanted to be talent or that I wanted to be on that side of things. So to hear that this was even an opportunity was amazing for me.
It's a good thing because people need to know, okay, you don't have to be in front of the camera or be a director. There are things that you can use it with your marketing degree or your accounting degree that can actually and still be working in that industry. So that's great to hear. So what's your typical day looking like in this role?
We don't use a lot of specialized equipment because I am on the administrative side of things. So
Yes.
I'm not using a file maker or
Hmm.
final draft or anything like that.
Right.
We do use Movie Magic for budgeting and Movie Magic scheduling, but the
Hmm.
rest of the stuff that I use on a day to day would just be like regular Microsoft Office kind of
Excel, stuff
things,
like
like
that.
Outlook,
Gotcha.
that
Gotcha.
kind of stuff, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, like that kind of stuff. But Movie Magic is definitely very handy on our
Can
side.
you go into that? What that is? Explain what
So
that software
Movie
is.
Magic is a software that was created by Entertainment Partners, which is a big, huge payroll company.
Hmm.
Um, they created what is used as the industry standard of templates.
Hmm.
So you go into this program and it helps you create a budget for the show. And then also that's Movie Magic budgeting, and then they have Movie Magic scheduling, which is, as the name says, it helps create the schedules of the show. So I'm not sure how familiar you are with production, but
Hmm.
if you've ever seen a one-liner where it breaks down the schedule of what you're shooting that day,
Hmm.
the day out of days that shows like what cast member is working certain days, all of that is broken out of Movie Magic scheduling.
Got it. Got it. So basically a software tailored to those working in the television industry to make their jobs go in scheduling and what have you. Got it. Okay.
And they also have Synchronize, which is like an online cloud storage space, kind of
Hmm.
like a Dropbox or
Hmm.
the Box.
Hmm.
It's where they upload all their documents and they live there.
Hmm.
That's also how people send out documents when they send out call sheets or when they send out scripts. Instead of having to send an email to everybody,
Hmm.
now Synchronize allows you to make a list.
Hmm.
And anytime you have to send something, you just pick that list and it goes to the people that it's supposed to go to.
Share with us any kind of obstacles or difficulties or some of the challenges of this particular side of the business that you can say, not just for your job, but specifically, but as a whole, that people may want to be aware of if they plan on choosing that path.
I would say the hardest thing that I've had to deal with was being a woman and people just always assuming that I wanted to be talent or that when I come to set, I'm the guest of someone's talent. Like they never
Wow.
imagine that I'm kind of your boss when I come to set for the first time. You,
Say it.
we hired your bosses, so technically you work for me. And I think that
Woo.
because I look young or because I look the way I look, people just assume like that I'm not someone that they should respect
Hmm.
until they see me sitting in Video Village talking to the producers and they're like, okay.
Hmm.
And especially when I was first starting, it was always like, I want to get a job. I don't know when I want to go. Like, what am I going to do? And people would be like, oh, I got you. I'll help you. I'll help you. But it ended up, they were just trying to like hook up with me or like take me out. Like,
Sad,
I struggled with that for a long time.
yeah, I was just talking to someone who actually runs a major position at a label, a young lady, and everybody's experience is different. But what did you do to kind of get past that period? And what kind of, I don't know, books or person you reached out to, or just personal mantras that you use to, go past like, you're going to take me seriously? Is it something that you had to consciously or exercise in the way you went about your job that you could get past that?
Um, it was hard for me for a while because it was like I want to be friends, I want to be
Hmm.
around, but you have to keep an arm's distance. You have to make sure that you're always presentable, that you're never giving off the vibe that like I'm
Mm,
interested in being on the casting couch with you, especially now in the Me Too era, it's like a lot easier for that to happen. But before that, it was kind of like sometimes I just had to cut off relationships because I was like, this is clearly not going the direction that I wanted it to go in.
yeah.
And then I got my job because of women. Like
Yeah.
another woman was like, this is the opportunity for you. And then my boss was a woman who was also very strong minded and very similar to me. And then she just kind of taught me from there. The PR firm
Hmm.
guy that brought me in, like he
Hmm.
always had the respect for me.
Hmm.
He partnered with the woman. So I think that kind of has taught me that I need to make strong alliances with other women and
Right.
not see them as my enemies so
Right.
that we can have each other's back.
So that's a good tip right there. There's a lot of young ladies that actually want to be the next Fetler, so I want to put that out there. So I mean, I'm being real. So anyway, what are you looking for? And when you say, okay, I got this person that I need to hire, any particular qualities or things that you see in them that you've seen in the past that will work for this kind of industry and for that role?
I actually was in charge of hiring the interns for our department,
Hmm.
so I would work with the talent team and see resumes and interview people. Now I'm working on a PA program, so I get a lot of resumes. I look for someone that actually wants to be on this side of things.
Hmm.
People just want to get in the door.
Hmm.
I don't knock you for wanting to get in the door, but if I hire you to work in my department and work on the things we're working on, I need you to act like you care about what we're working on, not that you're always trying to go see the other department kind of thing.
Hmm.
That happens often. So it's very rare that someone is really interested in my side of things. Most people want to be creative. So I'm always looking for someone that wants to be on this side. Um, the PA that I have now found me on Instagram,
What?
shot me a couple messages, found me on LinkedIn, asked me if we could just talk. So stuff like that is also very
I love that.
positive. Like that's something that I would look for. She followed up. I told her I was looking for a PA. This was maybe in May. I was like, reach back out to me and late in the summertime. She kept following up. So I was like, great. We had a conversation. I liked her. I hired her. She was supposed to be there just through December. I
Hmm.
extended her. Now she's going to be there through the summer.
Hmm.
So because she comes to work not necessarily wanting to be a production executive, but she comes, she asks the questions. She wants to know what can she do every day instead of just coming and sitting in the chair and asking me, can I go to the creative people, which I've
What'd you
had in
tell
the
Right.
past.
yourself? What'd you tell the love of 8 years ago, the one that was just starting to get into this business? What would you tell her that you know now?
I feel like everything happens for a reason.
Hmm.
So I needed to go through all of those things to
Hmm.
get where I am.
Hmm.
The only advice I would give my former self is to just keep going. Like it took me a long time
Hmm.
to get here.
Hmm.
I finished school when I was 21.
Hmm.
I didn't get this job until I was 30.
Wow.
So in those 9 years, it was the PR time. I was volunteering at events. I was working other jobs. So just keep going. It doesn't happen quickly.
Hmm.
And everything that you go through is a learning lesson. So whatever
Right.
you can pick up from each opportunity, from each failure, from each success, keep using that and keep going forward.
Do you think that for your position, not the one you have now, but some of even the previous ones or the PA one, do you think that an actual formal education is pretty much necessary? What would you say about that?
I think it would give you a heads up.
Hmm.
We actually just had a panel with Lena Waithe the other day,
Hmm.
and she was talking about the fact that she went to college for film and television kind of gave her a leg up. So
Mm-hmm.
she got everything a lot faster than most people do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a requirement because clearly I just studied communications, which is a very broad subject,
Mm-hmm.
but it helps. But
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't study that, that doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But if you want to have prior knowledge, then it's good to do it.
Okay. And you were mentioning PA because a lot of times you equate that term with something else. But what does it mean for your field? That acronym PA,
A PA is a production assistant.
production assistant.
Basically, it's the worst job of the worst jobs. It's the coffee runner.
Yeah.
It's the person that's just standing there to do whatever you need them to do.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got
But
it.
that is where everybody starts on any crew. You start as a PA and you work your way up. I started as a PA at the company I'm at now, and it took me about 2.5, 3 years to become an executive.
What was that pivot point when you think that you became went from the PA stage to an exec, or that even the lower level executive stage to being an actual executive and being able to take charge and becoming a manager?
I think it was a combination of everything that I've experienced before and how amazing my bosses were. They were pivotal in teaching me everything that I needed to know. They wanted me to be the next them.
Wow.
So I was able to learn everything quickly just because I wouldn't say, like, I don't know how to say it without sounding cocky or anything, but I was able to pick it up quickly.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So because of that, they were like, okay, I believe in you, so let me see what you can do, and just kind of ran with it from there.
And they kind of almost brought out the best of you and made you challenge yourself to see how you could rise to the occasion, kind of thing.
Correct. I remember taking notes in calls and be like, I don't know what they're talking about, but I'm gonna write it down and try to figure it out.
Let's see.
Like, you want to ask questions, but then you don't want to ask too many questions, or you don't want to ask a question where you think like they're gonna think I'm stupid. So I just figured it out. Like, there were certain things that I couldn't figure out without them, but other things that I was like, let me just Google.
Yeah.
It sounded like this, but maybe that's not what it is. And let me keep listening to the conversations. I know a lot of assistants or like PAs will be on calls to take notes, but they're not really paying attention
to what's being said. Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And they're literally writing down things just to write them down to give to their boss, but they're not thinking about what does that mean and what can I learn from this conversation. Sometimes you're supposed to be seen and not heard. My bosses wanted me to become them, wanted me to ask questions. So I was very blessed in that regard to be able to develop into this person.
Give me, for your side of the industry in production, what do you think that are two, I don't want to say traits, but two things you kind of almost have to have to flourish in that side? It could be a skill set, a certain temperament. What would you say would be one of those things that would serve you well going in this side of the industry?
On my side, you would need to be very organized.
Organization, okay.
You have to be able to think outside of the box, be creative, work quickly on your feet. You have to always be ready to go, because our job on this side is to maintain the budget. So you have to be on top of things to make sure that we're not spending too much money. Because in the end, if we go over budget, it's a problem for everybody.
Got it.
And to be a good line producer or production executive, you need to be able to convince your talent, your writer, your director, how they can do that same thing that they want, this grand idea that they have, for cheaper, without making it seem like you're taking away from the quality of the story.
Right. Or is that like a constant thing that you do as far as creators and what their vision is versus what's actually going to be possible with what they have? Is that just kind of comes with the territory and an ongoing kind of a push and pull, I would guess? No?
It is not necessarily for me in my role right now, because that is kind of what the line producer would do.
Sure.
They're talking directly to the producers, but as an independent producer, which I've just recently gotten into, that's a conversation that I have to have with my writer, that there's certain things that we're going to have to lose. We're going to have to lose a couple characters because anyone that speaks, you got to pay them. So that kind of thing is something that I'm having to deal with more while I'm getting into this independent producing side versus being on the network side. The network, we hire the third party production company,
Hmm.
to do that for us.
Got it. Okay. Great. Great. Finally, you mentioned the your PA program. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, really briefly, if you don't mind?
So we used to have an internship program
Hmm.
that required that you were getting credit for school.
Hmm.
You would have to apply through our corporate website. But then they found that not a lot of people were applying to our role, and just it wasn't as, I guess it wasn't in their eyes as beneficial as someone on the creative side. So they took that away from us, and they were like, for you guys, it would be more practical to hire PAs, someone that doesn't have to be in school anymore, someone that can be in the office with us 5 days a week, full time.
Hmm.
So we have just started that in the fall. Well, actually, we started in the summer, but then my PA was so amazing that she got snatched for a real role in the company.
Hmm.
So we brought somebody else in the fall, and she's basically there to help us with whatever we need. She's
Hmm.
learning from us about budgeting. We had a whole little breakdown of a schedule. She read a script and like learned the mechanics of line producing, but then she's also able to interface with all of the production. We have a lot of different departments in
Hmm.
our production department. So we have the specials department, we have unscripted, we have scripted. So
Got
she's
it.
able to work with all three of those departments to kind of see production from a different side. Like what they do in specials is going to be very different than what we do in scripted,
Hmm.
just like it's going to be different than what they do in unscripted.
Hmm.
So she's able to learn from all of us. I
Got
really like her. So right now it was only supposed to be a couple months.
it. Hmm.
So until we can find her something more permanent,
Hmm.
I'm going to keep her on as long as she
Nice.
wants to stay. But the goal is to get somebody in the office every couple of months to expose them to this,
Hmm.
to see if this is the side they want to be on, and then kind of help usher them into getting a job.
Got it. Nice. Nice. That's awesome. Awesome. Last question for you, Fetle. What off your years of experience, definitely at this level, and you can expand it from when you first started to now. Give me one last piece of advice to someone looking to come into this business, no matter what level of career, college student, past college, career changer. Give me one piece of advice if they want to come into the line producer production area of the entertainment business.
I would say do your research.
Hmm.
If you want to work in TV, watch TV. If you want to work in film, watch a lot of film.
Hmm.
See the field that you want to be in. Do you want to work in comedy? Do you want to work in drama? Do you want to work in unscripted? Do you want to work in reality? Do you want to work on movies? Know what it is that you want to do,
Hmm.
and then just go for it. Just like I said about my PA, she reached out to us on Instagram.
Hmm.
Volunteer as much as you can.
Hmm.
Work for free if you have to. Work
Hmm.
for cheap if you have to, because those relationships are what's going to get you your next career or your next gig, especially in entertainment. If you're working on a show,
Hmm.
the chance if you do well with your team on that show, when they get another show, they're going to take you with them.
That's right.
So be kind, be courteous, respect everyone, regardless of if you think they're just the PA and they don't matter, because that PA could be your boss one day,
Like you.
especially now, where people can just create things and put it on the internet and then blow up. It's not the same traditional start from the ground. You create your own web series and you become the next Issa Rae. You really never know who you're dealing with or what they're going to become. So just be a nice person.
Got it. Got it. Thank you so much for giving us your time and supporting Artist Spotlight. We really appreciate it. I think you have a great voice and what people need to know about this part of the industry and continued success, right, to
Thank
what you're
you.
doing. And please be a friend to the show in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.